Welcome to another Numismatic Notes with Benjamin. I am Benjamin, and I'm showing off my new haircut. I think it looks pretty good. But today I'm going to share with you a theme video, and it's a different theme video. It's not a theme that I've ever seen, per se. I'm sure it exists, but I'm excited to share with you this theme of miners and mining that appears on banknotes. So join in with me and enjoy these a little more than 10 notes I have to share with you on the theme and think about how you can add to it. Please like and subscribe to my channel and share. Here we go. Here we go. I wanted to start with this note here because even though this is a theme video, isn't that an amazing face? I think that's just a beautiful banknote. This is a Peruvian 5 soles de oro. And I love how the lathe work is in color on this note. And on the back of the note is the first scene in this theme of miners. And I don't know what you thought whenever I said miners. I didn't mean young people. I meant people who are below the ground, extracting ore, doing things like that. And here's a scene of miners below ground, and they're extracting ore. And they're doing work with equipment, and they're below the ground. And I'm sure it has something to do with the silver and the history of Peru and all of that. Let's move on to the next note, which is also Peruvian. In this case, we're looking at a 50 soles de oro, and this one has Tupac Amaru on this side, but on this side, it looks like we have a couple of guys mining, wedging rock, hitting rock, doing that kind of thing. On the back of this lovely rural scene of a church. One reason I like the mining is because, you know, mining is rather unforgiving, and there is a stoic ruggedness that can fall easily into beauty whenever you look at how some of these notes have been engraved and are taken care of. Here we have a Czechoslovakian 50 korun, or 50 crown. And this banknote shows a gentleman over here on the end. I assume he's a farmer, or I'm sorry, I assume he's a miner. There's like a mine head there, and this looks like a tool that either is like a drill or maybe having something to do with water to rid the or to free the ore up that they're bringing up to the surface. But I think it's just a stunningly well engraved note. This is one of my favorite banknotes from the 50s, to be honest with you. I like how the clouds look. I like how the man who's a hard worker looks, and he's looking off to the side in the distance. It's just really an attractive note. When you turn this note over, you see some amazing lathe work. All I know is their spirograph is a lot better than mine ever was. Speaking of spirograph, right here in the middle of this Yugoslavian note is a whole bunch of lathe work. But here we have our gentleman on the left-hand side wearing a miner's cap with a light. And on the back of this note, I believe that that's some sort of mining machine. I have no idea what it means. It almost looks like, you know, the water wheels I've seen where these fill up with water and then they move things from here to here. But this might have something to do with picking up ore down here that it's digging out and transferring it up here, or no. Or perhaps I'm just making up something entirely, and this has absolutely nothing to do with the miner on the front of the banknote. Anything is possible, y'all. Let's take a look at this Peruvian note. Lots of Peruvian notes, and this is in the same family as that 5 that I showed you earlier. Beautiful vignettes. Look like amazing banknotes from, you know, the last century, and by that I mean the 1800s here in the U.S. But colorful lathe work nonetheless. And on the back of this note, in lovely red, we have another miner working underground. I mean, I assume. I'm trying to pause and be quiet so I don't distract you guys from the images on this note. One of the reasons these notes impress me too from Peru is because they are a product of the American Banknote Company. So, I mean, there is something to that. This note could have, this theme video could have just been Peruvian banknotes, because that's what I have next for you as well. A Peruvian 5,000 soles de oro. And the front of the note, you don't see too much that would give it away as a mining note. But a cornucopia full of gold or silver. It's the closest link I could make to mining. Let's see what's on the back of this lovely, lovely note. Ah, a flat-out mining scene. This kind of gives some proof to that note of Czechoslovakia with the guy holding the tool over his shoulder, because this guy is welding that same tool here, and it does look like it's some kind of bit digging through rock, and while he's doing that, his colleague is shoveling a shovel full of ore here. Seems like real recently, within the last, 10 years or so, I recall that there was a whole lot of miners that got trapped below the ground and they were able to survive it. And so I just can't imagine the fear I have in my modern life of enclosed spaces. I can't even imagine these men going down and working in these primitive conditions day after day, not knowing if they were going to come to the surface again. We are going to travel across the ocean to the nation of Ghana and take a look at this 20 cedis. At one point in Ghana's history, a 20 cedi was a high-value note, so you don't often see this note circulated because, they were well used and then they were redeemed. So it's kind of nice that I'm able to have this note. This note has a miner on the front right-hand side, and you can tell by the protective hat with the light that he's wearing. Now let's see what we have on the back of the note. Does it relate to mining? Nope. It is a weaving note, which would make a fine theme of its own. And in the African cultures, a lot of times it was the men who were the weavers, whereas in Asian cultures and other cultures, it might have been the women. But it's pretty interesting combination of themes, weaving and mining. We're going to stay in Ghana and take a look at a 500 cedis. And this is a neat note. Workers, work in industry, a fighting fist, serves as the vignette over here, and it serves as the watermark over here. It's a strong mark because you can see it even without light, and sure enough, that design is just printed on top of the paper. The serial number is actually a good deal different. It's hard for me to make out, but there is a big star on it. What about this note makes it a mining note? Here on this side, we have some lovely trees and then some cocoa pods in the middle, which is always going to put me in a good mood because chocolate does not ever make me angry or unhappy. And what we have mining-wise appears on the far right of this banknote. And again, this miner is using a tool that I think is used to pry out rock or drill or, wedge ore out of the ground. It's an interesting world, and I'll be honest with you, it's a world I don't know much about. Let's move over to the Caribbean and look at this 10 pesos oro of the Republic of the Dominica, or the Dominican Republic. And on the back of this note, we have an absolute mining scene. We have a miner on the left, and we have a scene that has ore work, and it looks like that in addition to mining, it could be simply a quarry. So it could be quarrymen using some of the same tools you would use to mine or excavate. But it's definitely a neat note. From there, $500 million bill from Zimbabwe. And we have the stacked rocks there. It's a nice vignette. It's definitely recognizable as a Zimbabwean note. And when you turn this note over, you have multiple scenes. You have a cow to the far left. You have a milking barn with more cows getting milked. I guess, a milk mine, as it were. But then on the far right, we have a miner using that same pneumatic air drill, I guess, to get minerals out of the ground. Let's remain on the continent, but let's travel over to Ghana again. This is another 20 cedis with the Queen Mother on it. And on this side, we have a number of people. And one of the people you see, in addition to, I don't know, it looks like a member of the military, a graduate, and the people, you have a miner. Not nearly as well executed as the previous miner on the previous 20 cedis, but still interesting nonetheless. The next note is from Rwanda, and it's pretty much a worn out note. I can almost imagine that some little boy had this note and had it folded up and tucked into his shoes so he would never lose it. But on this side of the note, we have a map of the nation and lathe work. And on this side of the note, we have a mining scene and a miner at the left. Looking like he's glad to be posing for the picture instead of being over double underground, if you ask me. We're going to stay in Africa for the next note and just travel to Mozambique. And this is 1,000, and that word is pronounced Medicash, I believe. So we have here 1,000 Medicash. And there's the president and some young folks of the nation appearing on the right-hand side of the note. His after he passed away, his widow actually married Madiba and became the First Lady of South Africa. So she was an interesting person in history, being the First Lady of 2 African nations. And on this side of the note, we have some rural scenes, some field scenes. Looks like some harvest going on in this area over here. And then right here, we have miners in action. And over here, it looks like we have some sort of train pulling the ore on a track, probably from below ground to the surface. And the final note in this theme grouping of miners on banknotes has us traveling to Central America. And we're visiting the nation of Nicaragua with this red 10 Cordobas. It's a beautiful note. Lots of interesting lathe work, lots of red. And on this side, we have a man holding rocks. And I don't think that that's why I included these rocks. I don't know the story of Andres Castro, but I assume that would explain this vignette a little bit more if I had actually figure out who he is. And if I ever do a video on this one single note, I will look that up and be able to share it with you. This note is included in this scene because on the back of the note we have a vignette that commemorates the nationalization of the mines. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gentlemen who are in the mine looking at ore, picking it up, or searching for it, or holding the tool that's going to help them get it out of the ground. I'm just going to leave that there. For some reason, my fingers are fumbling tonight. Well, what'd you guys think? It's mines, and it's interesting. I don't know terribly a lot about that industry here in Oklahoma. There has not been a lot of call for it. I mean, I think there might be some coal in places, but this is mining unlike anything I've ever experienced here in the United States. Please give me your thoughts on this. Cuss and discuss with me. I'm Benjamin. This is Numismatic Notes with Benjamin. Have a jewel of a day.